I'm going to rank David Bowie records. At least I'm going to rank 20 of my favorite David Bowie studio albums. Ranking is not a fair fight at all. It's never good. We all have different opinions. Whatever I rank today, number 1 or number 5, I'll probably change next year or next week even. I think number 1 might, in this case, might remain the same. So I've chosen, I narrowed down to 20 David Bowie studio albums. I think he has about 27 albums. And these are amongst my favorite, and I'm going from 20 back to number 1. Now, I did see David Bowie 3 times. I saw him first in 1972 at Winterland. I'll talk a little about that when I get to that particular album. And then I saw him in 1976 at the Cow Palace, and I saw him, I think it was down in San Jose possibly, or the Reality Tour. So 3 times over a period of time. Love David Bowie. Also was fortunate enough to go to the Brooklyn Museum Art Show, the fabulous David Bowie museum tour, which I wish would be intact somewhere, but I think it was pulled apart. I saw the Brooklyn Museum. I think it also toured in Minneapolis possibly, and of course through Europe and London, Paris and London. So here we go. Number 20, Heathen. Heathen, in a way, was a comeback album for him. Again, a collaboration with Tony Visconti. Great cover. Again, you know, all these records have this mix of art rock for the most part. There are a few that go into other semi-genres, but I love his experimentation. And all the albums in the last, I'd say 20 years, I consider, and this is probably a simplistic term, they're very thick records. They're bombastic. Those of people who are into the whole CD loudness wars think his records are just mixed too hot, but that's a sound that he and Tony Visconti wanted. Love this cover. I always love his, you know, his choice of artistic covers, and this is one. I don't really know what to say about this because, again, as much as I know this album as a whole, I don't feel I'm aware of the song specifically to really call them out. But love this record, of course. I always love the art direction of his work. And this is in number 20, Heathen. Number 19. I only have it on CD. I don't know if it ever even came out on record. This is another collaboration, sort of a re-collaboration thematic record called Outside. And it is a collaboration with Brian Eno. First time, I think, since the trilogy in Berlin, possibly. But artistic record, somewhat conceptual, really interesting. Of course, you know, great art book and everything. This grows in stature for me every time I listen to it, and I think it's time to listen to it again because it's been a couple of years since I played this. I probably played all these albums several years ago, right after Bowie passed, as many of us did, but I pretty much have followed Bowie along, never stopped, never jumped off, even during sort of the problematic albums, which to this day, I don't even consider them problematic. I've gone back and rediscovered that last 20-year period and jumped in more because he has a different sound or a thicker sound. And I think as we dive into those records, there's some gems amongst them. And I think this is one of them. So who knows, it could rise at some point. But he's made so many wonderful records and experimented. So that's number 19. Now, number 18 is going to be a surprise for some people in terms of why it's so low. And that's The Man Who Sold the World. The Man Who Sold the World. This, you know, I thought about this, and actually I played this again this morning before I did this video because I kept thinking, you know, do I love this record? I mean, The Man Who Sold the World is a great, great song. Of course, it was revitalized by Nirvana in their Unplugged MTV video and album, and it got a whole new audience that probably even never heard the original version. But I think that's the best cut on here. The rest of the stuff is not as great as I hoped it would be. So you Bowie fanatics might rate this a little higher. Some yokel is going to tell me that this should be a lot higher, and that's fair enough. But for me, you know, I put it on and, you know, it's okay. He's trying, he's getting there. I mean, that's easy for me to say, right? Bowie's trying. You know, he has a little of that Anthony Newley and Scott Walker, you know, vocal style. You guys, if you don't know those two artists, you should listen to them and then listen to this, and especially the very early Bowie. Anyway, coming at number 18, The Man Who Sold the World. Now this record is one that I liked the singles initially, and then the album kind of, died in a way, and it didn't get a lot of great reviews as I recall. And I did get it when it came out. I absolutely loved the video and loved the single. And this is Tonight. This Blue Jean is a fantastic single. The video for that is great. The cover art of this is amazing. I love Blue Jean. I love Loving the Alien, Dancing with the Boys. This is a fantastic record. I think this record has grown in stature for me personally. Love the cover art. Didn't get a lot of love at the time aside from the single, but number 17. Number 16. I love this record. Number 16 is The Next Day. Now, for those of you, a lot of people got all wonky and got all pissy because of the cover. I think the cover's brilliant. I think the art director and the designer, and who's his name? What is his name? I don't have it here offhand. I should have researched that. But, he did obviously a play on this. I mean, some people think it's lazy, but I think it's brilliant art. I can see Bowie just falling in love with this, taking Heroes and slapping on, The Next Day in a blank white. It's so conceptual artwork, and it's so the art rock of David Bowie, which is wonderful. Now, this record, as I recall, this was a big surprise. He hadn't done anything in 10 years since Reality when this came out, and it literally just popped, just dropped. I love this record. Fantastic record. Again, a loud, thick collaboration with Tony Visconti. The Next Day is a great song. Stars Are Out Tonight. There's some intimate work on here, and there's some outgoing. And it would be, as I recall, this was in 2013. So it's amongst his very last records. But I think this is a fantastic record. But it's not in my top 10, obviously. But again, this is a grower. This is a record just to put on your stereo and blast. Turn this mother up. It's so great. Okay, number 15. This is a record I loved to begin with, and a lot of people aren't fans of this cover record he did. This is called Pinups. Came out in 1973. Sorry, I was in college. That's right. I remember going to a friend's, the dormitory at San Francisco State University, and this is one of the records that was on the turntable all the time. I think, when I was playing these records again, this is one of his best sounding records. The dynamics are good. It's recorded really well. And what's great about it, it has a lot of unusual to American audiences cover songs. Of course, some of them we all know. Here Comes the Night, that Them did, Van Morrison. See Emily Play, the great Pink Floyd song. I Can't Explain, the Who song. Friday My Mind by the Easy Beats, the Australian band. Where Have All the Good Times Gone? The Sorrow. The version of Sorrow is one of the best sounding songs on here. Some wild saxophone. He's like a sloppy saxophone player. This is a great rock and roll record, and he picked the greatest of for the most part, UK rock pop singles of the 60s to make this album, and it's fantastic. This is coming in at number 15, David Bowie's Pinups. Scary Monsters, number 13. Love the sequel on here. There's a sequel song, Ashes to Ashes, Funk to Funky. We know Major Tom's a junkie, going back to an earlier song, Space Oddity. Good record. Again, almost another persona. He's done that so many times in his career. Scary Monsters and Super Creeps is a great kind of post-punk type song. This album came out in 1980, right in the midst of all that. But obviously, he adds his art rock sensibilities to post-punk music. But this is an intense rockin' record, but a beautifully recorded record too, amongst my favorites. So there's number 13. Number 12, Let's Dance. I think for a lot of you out there, maybe especially the younger people, at least younger than me, this would probably be much higher than number 12 for you. This was his, like another breakout record. This was all over MTV. This was, I think, his first #1 album in the United States. Let's Dance, co-produced by Nile Rodgers from Chic. Definitely a dance record, definitely a pop record, disco-esque. I love this record, China Girl, Let's Dance, had so many singles on it. It was definitely a breakthrough record. It's a record of its time, a record of 83, I think, or so, 85, in the mid-80s there. And I enjoy this record a lot. I keep it at number 12, not higher, because I think in a way it's a dated thing of the 80s. Nothing wrong with that. It brings back that period of the 80s where all the other albums, yes, you could say Ziggy Stardust is a 70s early kind of singer-songwriter art rock record. But for some reason, that 80s period of dance music and pop music really kind of, it's like a time machine or frozen in time. Good record, great record. I'm not going to take it away from him, but he went for something. He wanted to have a hit. He went for that that pop dance sound, and he certainly got it here with Let's Dance. So number 12, like the record, but you know, I almost put it lower actually, but I didn't. So number 11, Aladdin Sane. I would say this is probably David Bowie's most iconic album cover, the persona he has in this period. Fantastic record. I love the cover of the Rolling Stones' "Let's Spend a Night Together." He makes it his, because you know, if you're going to cover a Stones song or a Beatles song for that matter, make it yours. Don't duplicate the original. The Prettiest Star, the Jean Genie, Aladdin Sane, Panic in Detroit. What a great rock and roll song. This is a powerful record. This is also a record that reminds me of visiting my friend's college dorm, like around the time of Pinups and everything. Incredible record. This is 1973 on RCA Records in America. What a great album cover. What a great artwork. Again, David Bowie's number 11, Aladdin Sane. And now we're hitting the top 10. Diamond Dogs. Some people hate this Guy Peeler cover. He did the album Rock Dreams, the book Rock Dreams of all these artists. He also drew the cover, painted the cover of the Rolling Stones. It's only rock and roll, but I like it. This is a reissue with the full genitalia that was removed when it first came out. You can look at it yourself. I don't need to point it out to you. Diamond Dogs, great song. Rebel Rebel's one of his great, just killer rock and roll songs. I love that. 1984, Chant of the Ever. This has Tony Newman on drums and Ainsley Dunbar on drums, Herbie Flowers on bass, Mike Garson on keyboards, and Bowie guitar, sax, Moog, and mellotron. 1984, again, partially co-produced or arranged with Tony Visconti. Actually, he didn't do the whole production on it. But I really like this record. Number 10, David Bowie's Diamond Dogs. He was really on a roll then. Number 9, Space Oddity, the UK cover and the original American cover. Obviously, Space Oddity was a song that got a lot of radio airplay. It's been, you know, used in countless soundtracks, and it's become this iconic piece of music when anybody's doing anything about space exploration. This is a good record. I almost didn't put it in the top 10 because that song, Space Oddity, is so strong in a way the rest of the album doesn't rise to the occasion, in my opinion. But I find I play this record a lot, so I wanted to include it. And of course, here's the original cover, UK version, lyrics inside. I think it's a great record. Number 9, David Bowie's Space Oddity. Number 8. Now, again, a pop, dance, somewhat upbeat record, but to me this works better than Let's Dance much later. This is in the 70s. This I think Young Americans is a brilliant song. There's a funkiness to it. There's a soulness to it. And I would say this is more of his soul record than Let's Dance. That's a dance sort of disco pop record. This is a soul record. He's so great on this record. He was doing, he got into this whole soul thing, even with, which I'll have later, Station to Station. There's a real feel about that. Win is great, Fascination. The mood of this album is really interesting. His version of Across the Universe, the Lennon Beatles song, is unusual, not one of my favorites, but it kind of works in his again, Anthony Newley vocal way. I love this record. Of course, the song Fame on here is a great song, co-written with John Lennon. John Lennon's vocals you can hear on Is It Any Wonder? I almost wish they mixed John's vocals up a little louder there, but that's, you know, the Lennon Beatle freak side of me coming. I just love that he co-wrote that song with Bowie. I wish they did more together, because I think in a way Bowie was more of a disciplined artist. John's a little loose. That's why John and Paul, you know, work so well together. I'm not going to get into that tangent, but you know, cocaine-infused time. They were hanging out a lot here. Bowie actually became like a godfather to Sean after Sean was born. But Fame is a great, great single. I really love that single. Of course, Young Americans, fantastic record. So this is number 8. Number 8. Young Americans. Number 7. I don't see a lot of people talking about this record a lot, and I just love this record. And this is Lodger. What a great, great cover this is. Look at that artwork. Fantastic Voyage is a beautiful song. There's a mood to it that opens up. African Night Flight and Yasasim has this great sort of Middle Eastern percussive sound that is, I think, this record is recorded beautifully, and I love the arrangements. Red Sails, it literally sails. It just flows really well. Love that song. Look Back in Anger, of course, is it based on the Kenneth Anger British cinema of the 1960s, at least on the title of it. Boys Keep Swinging. What a great pop song that is. It's just got a great feel to it. Red Monday, DJ. This is a really good pop record disguised with art rock. You know, it's, of the Berlin trilogy, it's probably the most melodic and the most rhythmic, I think, I would say. And I realize I have, you know, the Berlin trilogy that he was doing with Eno, I have pretty high on it, because I think they're really important records, and I think they're really good records. And so this is number 7. Number 6, another of the Berlin trilogy, Low. Friggin' great record. Side 2 of this is mostly almost like an instrumental, almost like it really pushes the Brian Eno feel of ambiance, but Bowie's vocals are mixed throughout it. It's not as song-based, it's more mood-based, but Speed of Light, Breaking Glass, and Sound Division, to me, is a song that stands out amongst all his songs as a representative of David Bowie. In fact, I think when Royco put out a box set in the early CD years of his work, it was called Sound and Vision, which is such a great overview title for a compilation. But David Bowie's Low, fantastic cover, fantastic artwork. It's a really good European feel of an album, Low, by David Bowie. Everything is by David Bowie. Okay, now we're in the top 5. I almost put this one a lot higher, but this is one of those records. Well, here we go. This is David Bowie's final album, Black Star. I bought this album on Friday, the day it came out. I went to a local record store, picked it up. I played it all weekend, and it just moved me. I had heard the single. I bought a download, or I got a download of the single, Sue, which is very jazzy, very avant-garde modern jazz. Gorgeous, gorgeous record out there, but I love that kind of jazzy feel, and I just fell in love. I was so excited. I bought this, I played it all weekend, fell in love with it. I wake up Monday morning after this came out, and I heard that Bowie passed. So I feel great that I got the album and listened to it before he died to get a different sense, because obviously when you listen to these songs, when you watch the videos that he made after his death, it brings on a whole new meaning, and you understand where these songs were coming from. Because as he was recording this, he knew he didn't have a lot of time, and he did this amazing record with this New York-based jazz outfit. Fantastic record, great mood piece. But despite being his last record, despite being a dark record, it's to me an emotionally lifting record. And I think even if he hadn't died, this would be very high on in his catalog. And so number 5, I think, is an appropriate thing. Looking back, we're 3-4 years now after his death. I think this is a incredible record. Of course, "'Tis a Pity She Was a Whore," "Lazarus," "Sue," or "In a Season of Crime." Every song on here is this moody, out there jazz art rock piece. Again, art rock is the catch-all, but it totally works for this record. Black Star, to me, a perfect album. Probably you need some time to invest to really feel this album, but it's great. Number 4 is Heroes. Obviously, Heroes has become an anthem because of a lot of events, a lot of things that have happened since it was written, and it came out in 1977. But this is an amazing album. Beauty and the Beast, Joe the Lion, but Heroes, lyrics by Bowie, music by Brian Eno, that repetitive circular sound that just leads off that song. What a great bit, what a great intro. Sons of the Silent Age, also a beautiful song. V2 Schneider, that semi-instrumental piece that I just love, that starts out off of side 2. The Secret Life of Arabia, ending amazing piece, co-written by Bowie, Eno, and Carlos Alomar, great guitarist. So just love this album. Robert Fripp does that great intro, that great lead guitar bit at the opening of Heroes, and it's become this sort of iconic bit. As famous as Robert Fripp is with King Crimson and all the collaborations he's done, that's certainly one of the most known and interesting and dramatic beginnings of any song ever. So coming in number 4, the great album, David Bowie, Heroes, with this great, wonderful pose on the cover of this record. Love that record. Coming in number 3, Station to Station. I remember hearing this for the first time, literally, when it came out, not quite getting it when I first heard it. Then a friend of mine, I had this friend who was in college, and he had the most incredible cassette sound system in his car. I didn't know anyone who had quite that sound system, and he had this on a cassette of this. And the opening of Station, which starts very slow build up, like this train sound, this train rhythmic opening that goes on for several minutes before the song kicks in and becomes this amazing, just heartfelt, intense, soulful song. The sound on that song was amazing in that car. I went back and listened to the album again on vinyl, and I just started falling in love with the record. This record was an album that took several listenings to get into at the time, maybe except for 2 songs that were singles that were kind of very rhythmic pop soul numbers, TVC 1-5, and of course Golden Years, which are very upbeat, danceable songs that could just grab you on the radio. But Station to Station is the thing that really opened it up. And of course, this is an image from The Man Who Fell to Earth, the film that he was in around this time. Wild as the Wind, the closing song on this, is just an amazing song by the great Nina Simone, and he covers that song so beautifully. Stay, slow, moody, soulful, an amazing record, an amazing record. Number 3, this holds up, and this is a modern record that was, in a way, ahead of its time when it came out. But Station to Station. Now, I did see him on the tour in 1976, a Thin White Duke tour at the Cow Palace. Bright, light white lights. An amazing show, amazing sounding show. I know we got a little flack on that because the image and the look of that was almost like this, master race thing. I didn't see that at the time. I mean, I get it, and I know that wasn't the intent. There was something about it that was so dramatic and so spectacular. And Bowie didn't, when Bowie played in 1972, which I'm going to talk about in a minute at Winterland, it wasn't a success. And so for him to come back, this might be the first time. He might have skipped San Francisco during the Diamond Dogs tour, as I recall, because I really wanted to see him again, because then he started getting popular. But seeing him at the Cow Palace, it was a fucking amazing show. It's one of the highlights of rock concerts I've seen in my entire life. Great. And a great album at number 3 on this David Bowie ranking countdown of my favorite 20 records. Number 2, Hunky Dory. This is the second album I heard of David Bowie. This came out before my number 1 choice, which now of course it's obvious what that's going to be. But this is a fantastic record. This is the acoustic guitar sound. This is Ken Scott produced, as I recall. Great sounding guitars, great recording, might be his best sounding album by far. It's an immediate sounding record. If you get a good pressing of this record, this is a reissue. I do have an original on RCA. The reissues sound great. Obviously, Changes became this great hit beyond. At the time, I didn't hear this first. What a great single. What a great arrangement. Oh, You Pretty Things, Life on Mars, A Light Pone, Quicksand. Oh, Fill Your Heart. I'm sorry, that's Biff Rose cover song that leads off side 2 with this great, just acoustic, kind of jazzy piano by Rick Wakeman. Come on, really? Yes. 8 Wives of Henry VIII, Prague, Rick Wakeman plays a fantastic piano all over this record. I wish he did more of this kind of jazzy acoustic piano sound, because I didn't realize for years. I just never made the connection that was Rick Wakeman playing the piano on Fill Your Heart. Song for Dylan, very folky song, Queen Bitch, the Belay Brothers. Every song on this is a perfect record. It's number 2. It could have been a number 1 record for me by far, but it's far and away one of David Bowie's best records, and it holds up to this day. It's not gimmicky. It's not a gimmicky record. It doesn't have that. Anyway, Hunky Dory, fantastic. I can't say enough about this record. And David Bowie's like wild saxophone playing through on it too is just fabulous. So number 2 on my rankings of top 20 David Bowie albums. Of course, number 1 is the obvious choice, Ziggy Stardust. Whatever you say about this record, it's his best record. This is a fact. This is a fact. This is my fact. My fact. Nobody's facts matter in this video, because I'm making this video and this is his best record. Yes, we've heard it so many times. Yes, it's been overplayed, but when you take everything and you come down to it, this persona of Ziggy Stardust, this persona, Life on Mars, even though that's from the Hunky Dory song. This is the first album I heard of David Bowie in 1972. Local radio stations started playing this, and the song was 5 years. The opening track on this was the first David Bowie song I remember hearing. Because of that one song, I went out right away and bought this record. I bought tickets to him at Winterland. He played 2 nights at Winterland in San Francisco. Winterland holds 5,000 people. I don't remember, I assume I went the opening night and 500 people showed up. It didn't sell out. 500 people, 10%. The place was empty. I went to Winterland maybe 100 times in all the years it was around, and I've never seen it less full in my entire life. Almost every show I went to was full, even if the upstairs seating wasn't. The downstairs standing area, the open floor was always packed. Always. It wasn't. Ironically, later we hear that several nights earlier he plays Two Nights in Santa Monica, becomes that live record in the concert film. I guess San Francisco just didn't get it. He hadn't caught on yet in San Francisco. And as I recall, he just was turned off to San Francisco, didn't want to come back for a while. And he didn't for, as far as I know, 4 years. I could be wrong on that, but I think it was the Thin White Duke tour was his first returning to the Bay Area, I think. But Soul Love, Moonlight Daydream, of course, Starman is an anthem in its own right. Incredible record. Again, produced by Ken Scott, Trident Studios, London, Ziggy Stardust, Suffragette City, Rock and Roll Suicide, Mick Ronson's all over this. A fantastic record, a perfect record, as perfect as Hunky Dory. Probably, these could be interchanged. I think this becomes the pure form of David Bowie, what he intended, possibly, even though Hunky Dory is a fantastic record. Literally, after I got this record and after I saw him at Winterland, I went out and bought Hunky Dory. And it was every David Bowie for the rest of his life and his entire career. I would buy every single David Bowie album as it came out, even during the years that were, questionable at the time. And has he made bad records? Yeah. There's records I haven't included on here that maybe someone will bring up, but I don't think any of those deserve to be in the top 20, at least from my point of view. So this is number 1 of 20 records of David Bowie, 20 albums ranked, one of the great artists of our entire lifetime. Who knows if I doubt we'll ever see anyone quite like him. So thanks for watching, and put your list in. I do like seeing your list. And that's it. Mazzy loves you.